This is a very orderly scene. And you see, I think those are 3 Sheriff's Department buses that are pulled up in front of the Sally Port, essentially to create a smaller corridor there, also to block the view, also presumably for security. They had this planned out. This is the motorcade had a clear run from the airport to the Sheriff's Department. You saw they had cleared the streets. There were, not a ton of protesters, but there were several dozen protesters around, and some people on both sides and lots of media around at the Fulton County Jail today. You are not seeing disorder around this. I was worried about that, I have to tell you personally, when we saw Rudy Giuliani yesterday, day before yesterday? Yesterday. When he turned himself in and then tried to make remarks to reporters, and there was a physical crush around him and chaos that is not at all an entertaining thing to see. And there's no justice in that for anybody. And that was not good. And it did not bode well for this much higher stakes moment with President Trump.
What you're describing requires a lot of communication.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't just happen that there's order. It means they were talking all day, every day. Trump has advanced people, and they were talking around the clock to Fani Willis's team.
Yeah. And Fani Willis made public-facing statements to the authorities in Fulton County about making sure there weren't other trials in the courtroom, talking about court staff and district attorney staff working from home, setting out the time frame well in advance so they could do this sort of planning. When we saw that scrum around Giuliani yesterday, I was worried that for all of that, they had not planned this well. They have clearly planned this well. And that's an important political part of this process in terms of who we are as a constitutional republic. This is law and order. This is the orderly, calm, bloodless, efficient prosecution of the law in a situation where the president is not in control, but he is nevertheless safe. Well, and he is being treated in accordance with due process, as any American has as their right.
And it is important to note that happened despite the fact that, as we've all been covering, the atmospherics before today have been deeply disturbing. The kind of messages that Fani Willis has been getting, the threats that her staff have been getting, the threats that everyone involved in this have been enduring have been terrifying. Those barricades have been up for weeks in front of the courthouse. I mean, they've been preparing, and Trump has been all but calling for civil war. And he's not gotten any of it, right? He's calling for massive protests and massive resistance and all the rest. It hasn't happened. But the atmospherics leading into today, it is a relief to see that it is so calm because it's been so deeply ugly and frightening before.
I was surprised when he used one of his social media accounts to repost a call for protest today. Somebody who said they were going to be traveling from out of state to Atlanta to Fulton County today, and they gave the actual address, the street address of the jail. Trump reposted that himself, effectively calling on people to turn out and protest for him today in Fulton County, which you might expect would have a big effect on his followers, particularly the way that he has attacked Fani Willis and this prosecution and the number of people who were prosecuted alongside him in this case. And the turnout, once again, was one, to say the least. He is not able to turn out people in the street to defend him here. Now, that doesn't mean that we haven't seen people do disturbing other things in response. We've had a lot of people arrested. We've had a few instances of violence where people say they are acting in his name or out of anger in terms of the way that he's being treated. But in terms of him threatening to, make the streets run with blood, or to see that the biggest protests America has ever seen, and America's going to be sorry if the criminal justice system is ever brought to bear against him, he talked that game, but he has not been able to walk that walk.
Well, and you have to give Merrick Garland's Justice Department some of the credit. I mean, I went back and watched Stephen Ayers' testimony for the January 6th Select Committee, and hearing, and I guess the congressional investigation as well, hearing and seeing the accountability that the insurrectionists have had to face. It's not enough until everyone at the top of the chain faces accountability. But there are a whole lot of Trump supporters in jail or awaiting sentencing for their roles in the insurrection.